there have been appalling abuses and crimes committed during the civil war in Sudan. 2 weeks ago, the World Health Organization raised the alarm about reports it was receiving of a massacre at a hospital in El-Fasher in western Darfur. The city of more than 1 million people had been under siege since May last year, but was recently overrun by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Satellite imagery of that site outside the hospital revealed 3 clusters of white objects and reddish discoloration on the ground. Those marks had not been there the day before. The BBC has now spoken to someone who worked in that hospital and a patient who had fled the site shortly before the RSF gunmen arrived. This report is from our Africa correspondent Barbara Plett-Usher, and a warning: the details you're about to hear are distressing.
Mohammed was in hospital the day Al-Fasher fell to paramilitary troops. He'd been injured by shelling, yet even with a broken leg he managed to flee the city on foot. Stopped by the RSF, but not taken like many others.
They didn't beat me, but they questioned me a lot because of my injury, I think. They said, "We know you're a soldier, but you're finished. You will die on the road anyway, so just go."
But many who stayed at the Saudi hospital did not survive. This video filmed at a university building that doctors say was used to treat patients. Bodies cover the floor. Those still living shot dead. Abdurabu is a lab technician who worked at the hospital. He fled towards the town of Tawila shortly before the paramilitaries arrived.
Right now, I feel extremely hopeless. I've lost my colleagues, the people whose faces I used to see smiling. There is no happiness anymore. It feels as if you've lost a big part of your body or your soul.
The RSF denies there was a massacre, filming this video inside the hospital grounds to dispute the claims. And at a different location, it says doctors are now available to treat patients in Al-Fasher.
All these medical personnel and cadres, they are not hostages. They are not hostages. We are not taking them as a war hostage.
Doctors' groups dismiss these videos as propaganda and say several senior medics from the Saudi hospital remain missing.
One of them, his family managed to pay the ransom and he arrived safely to Tawila town. The other is being executed, and the rest, the 4 remaining medical personnel, until now we have no information or updates about them.
Nearly 90,000 people have fled Al-Fasher so far. The Sudanese army chief visited some who've made it to safety, but fears that tens of thousands more remain trapped in the city. In Tawila, for those who escaped, there's relief tempered by trauma.
I do not see any hope of returning to Al-Fasher after everything that happened and everything I saw. Even if there was a small hope, I remember what happened in front of me.
The battle for Al-Fasher is over, but it has left lives in ruin, and Sudan's war continues elsewhere. Barbara Plett-Usher, BBC News, Nairobi.
Jan Egeland is the Secretary-General of the Norwegian Refugee Council. Mr. Egeland, it's always good to have you on the programme. Thank you for your time. What do you make of the report you've just seen?
That there was a horrific massacre in that hospital. It's well documented. There are too many witnesses of what happened. But it's not the only massacre. Armed men went house by house, community by community, and there were many dead. We have a relief program going, 35 courageous relief workers in Tawila that your correspondent referred to, and where the doctor that we interviewed fled. We've received less than 10,000 people to Tawila from Al-Fasher, which just shows that there are tens of thousands of people in no man's land, and there are even more people inside Fasher where we cannot go because we're prevented by armed men.
This would constitute a war crime. Is there any investigation or any holding to account of the people who've given these orders and those who carried them out?
Well, it falls to the United Nations to do that, and I'm sure they will do so, because these are horrific war crimes against civilians, against patients, against medical doctors. There is particular protection for civilians and the medical profession and aid workers, and many of our colleagues have been killed. The Norwegian Refugee Council has 5 partner organizations inside Al-Fasher. We've lost contact with all of them. The organizations had people outside who also lost contact with the people inside. Horrific things happened there. And of course, it was a countdown to this over some 500 days and nights of besiegement. So this should never have happened. It should have been prevented.
There was an outcry 2 weeks ago when the first report started to come out, and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces said they had agreed to a humanitarian ceasefire put forward by the so-called Quad, the 4 countries that mediate. Where has that got to?
Well, I'm glad the Quad, the United States, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates say they are really working for peace. This ceasefire, we haven't seen that much of it yet. But a peace process will start with a ceasefire. Those 4 countries, but also other neighboring countries, have influence on the parties. It's been easier for these warlords to get guns to massacre people than for us to get money for relief for the population. It's horrific what's happening. And one more point. In Kordofan, which is to the south, there is a town, big town called Kadugli. It's besieged. There is a countdown for the exact same thing happening there, unless there is a ceasefire and pressure on the parties to avoid this happening.
You say it's too easy to get guns. Can I ask you about the role of the United Arab Emirates? Because I want to know whether you think they are an honest broker in this effort. There are reports, you'll be aware of the reports, that they are supplying support to the RSF. Are they doing all they can to bring this to an end?
I'm aware of the reports. Reports coming out of the United Nations. New York Times had a detailed account of it. But my colleagues are unarmed humanitarian workers that are governed by neutrality, impartiality, and independence. We cannot verify from where the arms come, but we do see that all the sides have plenty of arms, and the RSF had no lack of arms when they took the town Al-Fasher, where thousands could be dead because of what happened. Not just the 500 in the hospital, could be thousands more.
It's important we continue to tell the story. Jan Egeland, thank you for coming on.